Wash it down. You ready?
We're live, boys.
Welcome back, listeners, to the Brighter Side of Blue, our worldwide podcast coming to you.
Why you got to be screaming in the mic?
Coming to you live
We are live now.
from Columbo's Cafe and Tavern in Dogtown, St. Louis. It is the home of the famous Cibo's Thin Crust Pizza and Daily Lunch Specials. I'm Danny.
I'm Tommy.
I'm JJ.
Producer John.
Hey, our first live show from this, right?
Yeah, well, it's our first one that we hope the sound's right.
Well, yeah. That was kind of
I
a
think
dry
we figured
run.
it out, though. I think we figured it out.
Before we start, one of our number one fans, Camille Smith, is not feeling all that great. She can't make it tonight. She wanted to. They had to fight her from not coming. She'll be here soon, but she's not feeling that good. She wanted to be here live. The best to you. We're prayers with you, Camille. Peace.
Keep the battle.
Yeah. So, the last live didn't have any sound, so we're hoping we have some sound. We're hoping that anybody out there signs in.
We had sound. It was a shitty sound.
It was just bad sound?
Yeah.
We've come a long way since then.
We've come a long way.
In a week.
I'm driving Tommy crazy with my...
You're. It seems like you're screaming in my ears. I don't know about you. Is JJ?
I know
is he
you're all
loud?
nervous over there, dude. You're
All
freaking
right.
me out.
He's
You're just
fine.
like...
He's fine.
It
I don't-
seems like he's screaming.
Tanisha,
No, he's,
I don't think I'm screaming either. This is how I normally am.
All right, I stand corrected.
Tanisha came down. Haven't seen her in a
You
while.
already,
Tanisha's in the house.
Where the hell
you
she
already
been?
bashed me about the sponsor thing. You put the whole sponsor on me.
I did not. I
Yeah,
just
you
want you to do. I want you to do better.
Yeah.
I just want you to to do better. We want anybody.
Everybody in my
We
life
just want
does,
you to do
Danny.
better, man.
My wife does.
I'm not.
Don't touch me. Just leave me alone.
JJ, how you doing?
Good. I just want you to reach over and touch Tommy.
He hates to be touched. Tommy hates to be touched. He's like that kid that wears a helmet.
No, and my best buddy Bo, he's a toucher. Hey,
Yes,
man.
bud.
Hey,
Is he a close talker?
not a close talker, but he's a touch. He's one of them Italians. His hands are all going. He's always touching you. And sometimes I just got to step away and just out of arm's length.
Yeah.
Just kind of move my seat back.
Add that to the close talker that's all up in your grill.
Oh, there was that one dude.
You can
that,
smell their lunch, what they had. It's just disgusting.
I forget where I met that guy. He had all the traits.
I know.
Well, it
Don't
was,
even say
it was at
Don't.
Hessler's.
Hey.
It was at Hessler's. This dude was a close talker. He was a toucher, and he was a tough guy.
Wow.
Dude, I mean, one of the three will get me to move from you. He hit me with all three in 5 minutes. Didn't even have time to go.
The crazy thing is we didn't even know who he was. He just
Oh.
interrupted our conversation.
Did you push him away? Hey, I know you're listening live out there, but don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. This
Always.
podcast is spreading to 88 countries, 46 million viewers, and
More.
we're grassroots. We started, and we're a law enforcement podcast. We support law enforcement because that's how we roll. They've taken a bad rap over the years,
Coming
and now,
back, baby. We're coming back.
which leads me into this New York City mayoral race. What is this?
You
know
don't like
what's-
the police.
You know what's going to turn into? The movie Escape from New York. That's going to become a reality.
Well, he won't
Dude.
win.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, dude.
I don't know.
I don't know what you're thinking.
No, he's not
I'm
going to win. I've done some
Okay.
calculations.
telling you, it's going to be.
He does
this-
not like the police.
He immediately put out a tweet that said, it doesn't take an investigation to realize that the NYPD is racist, sexist, anti LBGQ,
Right.
and some other thing. And then he put hashtag defund the police NYPD.
He wants to cut out all. His first thing he wants to do is cut out all overtime for NYPD.
Okay. Against the law.
Well,
It's against the federal law.
but he's young. And he's got great videos, and he's scary because a lot of young people don't realize they don't even know what socialism is, and it's failed everywhere. And
He wants to have government-run grocery stores.
That'll be good.
Government-run grocery stores.
it's
That'd be
crazy.
like going to the DMV to shop.
So is that AOC going to be the produce manager?
Oh, my
she's
God.
big on this guy too. She's
Yeah, well, yeah, that's all right.
they're so
He's 27 years old, and he's talking bad about our NYPD.
Exactly.
So when 9/11 happened, he was 7 years old.
You don't
And
remember?
NYPD and the firemen were in there dying by the hundreds and thousands. And this little jerk off now has a opinion against the NYPD.
He's taking over for Brandon Johnson.
You know, it's
Well, yeah. Producer John asked who could beat Brandon Johnson from Chicago's 6.9 approval rating. We just found the guy.
Right.
This
know,
guy's
dude.
about to get voted in.
He's
dude.
not getting voted in. He beat Cuomo. There was a bad. They made a
They're
bad
not going to
decision.
vote for Republican.
Eric Adams is an independent.
Independent.
And he's
He's an
doing a good
independent.
job right now.
He is.
He's
needs to
actually
get a little
doing a
more
good job.
upside. I think he's a little slow right now. He needs to get up.
He's come around.
Well, he didn't need to, when you're running as an independent, he didn't need to get out and campaign or anything.
He
'cause
better,
he was the only
he better
one.
do
Right,
it now and
right.
get some young people.
So, our saying on this podcast is, and this guy is saying defund NYPD, we say defund these nuts.
Yes, sir.
So
You know what though? 9/11 said we never forget.
Right.
This guy is he
he
Muslim?
forgot.
here.
He
Muslim?
forgot.
Is he Muslim?
He never learned it.
Yeah.
I don't know,
You
but
know,
he
needs
forgot.
to-
He
he
was
needs to
7
watch
years
some-
old, and so for all of our brethren in law enforcement and NYPD, we have your back. Let's get the word out. I hope you guys get out and vote.
Exactly.
Tell your family, get out and vote, and get this guy away from us. He's a little leech.
Yep. Jerk. He's a jerk.
He's a jerk.
He's a jerk.
Yeah, we're live. If it wasn't live, we'd have stronger words.
He's naive and dumb because he thinks that's actually will work.
But you know who we have coming up a little later that's going to join us live?
I do.
Who
I
we got,
do.
JJ?
Mark Wasson.
And why is Mark coming on? Mark came on just so everybody, we're doing things a little different now with our live show. And then just interviewed Mark for about an hour.
Yeah. And
that'll be coming out on Monday. But Mark talks about the arrest of the person or the subject that was responsible for the murder of Captain Dorn. He talks about the ATM solution where they recovered where they stole over $6 million and how they chased one of those guys down. Talks about several other things, but he was pretty interesting, wasn't he, JJ?
Great. That's just half his story. Not even half his story.
Right. We're going to have him. But we're going to talk a little later about his father, who was a legendary homicide detective, and he's going to come join us, tell a couple more stories that are a little lighter than the ones he told. And but Danny sat that one out. Danny is.
Well, I set it up because I just feel like sometimes he has such great stories. I feel like 4 people shooting questions at him would be a little overwhelming, and so.
But
I sat out with the audience. We have a packed crowd. I counted earlier. I think we have like 360 in the crowd today.
It's pretty crowded.
So it's huge. And
but Mark Watson also told a story about you and Dodge, which was good too. And you heard the story, but you got to tune in on Monday to get that one.
Yeah, but what you really is important today is today in 1974.
What happened?
A pack of Wrigley's Juicy Fruit gum was the very first product sold by the UPC barcode in a little grocery store up in Ohio. Now that was a pretty big invention, that barcode. Just think how fast you get through the Costco and the Sam's with this whipping shit by that little barcode.
Don't take anything away from those old cashiers that could use that one hand.
Just look at your hot dogs and just like that. That's true.
Don't be discouraging.
So everything else in the cart didn't have a barcode, but the pack of gum had a barcode.
John, why? I didn't research that deep.
Did the barcode come out before the barcode reader? What came first?
This is really exciting stuff.
Right.
This is. I have no idea.
All right.
I have no idea.
It was your point. I'm just.
But I mean, don't you appreciate the barcode at the grocery store? How fast you can get through shit?
Sure.
Yeah.
Never thought about it, but now that you brought it up,
today's the first day, 1974. It'll be a trivia question somewhere, and out of the 372 people in the crowd, they'll be the ones that know the answer, and all the people listening live. Wrigley's Juicy Fruit gum.
What year was the barcode came across?
1974.
Sure was.
All right, so this is our safety show.
Yep. You guys are safety experts. JJ is a safety expert over there. He teaches classes, and along with his.
I wouldn't brought my PowerPoint here, but I won't pull it out. But it's here. I'm gonna hand that to you when we're done.
Well, I have a scenario.
I heard it. I disagree 100%.
Hold on. What are you doing with that bar?
Go ahead. Just go. Tell your scenario and tell them what the right thing is. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
We have a lot of women and mom listeners. In fact, 55% of our listeners are women. And there's a podcast that I like to listen to. It's Revisionist History. And I heard a scenario, and there is a genius guy that did all the statistics on this case. If it ever happens to a single mom or a mom home alone with their kid, what you should do to guarantee your survival in a home invasion type deal. And it blows your mind because it's contrary to everything that a mother or father would do for their kid. So here, I'm going to lay it out. And JJ, I don't know who told JJ, but you must have told.
I snitched you out.
He snitched me out.
I'm glad I had to prepare for it, and I disagree. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Zip it. So here, let's lay it out. You're a single mother. You have a 5-year-old daughter. You live in a nice wood frame house in a rural community by yourself, just you and your 5-year-old daughter, but you do have neighbors in this community. They're all around you, the neighbors. So it's a pouring rainy night, and you get a knock on the door. You open the door, but you do have a storm door, and there is a gorgeous human being of a man.
You didn't say that shit. You're just a stranger.
Is this going to go on all night with the interrupting and stuff?
Yeah, probably.
Hey, JJ, I didn't get into the whole story.
Yeah, you didn't know this.
No.
Gorgeous human being of a man. He's got a drenched cell phone in his hand that he shows you is inoperable. He's talking through you to the door and says, I just got, my car ran out of gas off the road. It's drenched. My phone is drenched and it will not work. Can I just come in and use your phone and make a phone call and I'll be out of your hair? And so mom looks at him. The phone doesn't work and she sees it. She lets him in. So she says, okay, the phone's over here. And now the 5-year-old daughter comes out and wants to know who just came in the house. They're exchanging pleasantries and this and that. And the guy, she's like, okay, well, here's the phone. He sees all the toys the kid has and says, that's my favorite doll or whatever, makes friends with the daughter. And the mom's sitting there going, here's the phone. And he's not interested in making a phone call. He's staying there. He's just staying. So
things are starting to get creepy.
Just immediately she's like, oh my God, he's hot, but make your phone call and get out of my house. But he's just not heading that direction. Okay. It goes on and on and on. And pretty soon the daughter's asking, let me show you this. Let me show you this. And they're playing. And this daughter embraced this guy like a nice babysitter or whatever. And the mom says, hey, listen, this we got to go to bed, this and that. It's time for you to make your phone call, or please go find help somewhere else. He turns to her and says, hey, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying right here with you and your daughter. I'm not going anywhere. She's like, okay, now this is bad. The daughter takes him upstairs to show him her bedroom, and the mom goes with her.
Second mistake.
Oh, okay. Goes with her because she's not going to let him go up alone with this guy. They go up in the bedroom together. And she's just playing. The guy couldn't be sweeter, doesn't have any guns on him or anything, but he won't leave and he won't make that phone call. So then he turns to mom and he says, he whispers to her, he goes, hey, I'm not leaving anywhere. Now go down and get me a beer and bring it back up. And this is where the scenario comes to JJ. So the guy turns to the mom and says, I'm staying up here. Go down and get me a beer and come back up. So mom goes down. And this is where the studies show. And this expert did all these scenarios. And he said at that exact time was the biggest break mom ever had. At that time, she should go downstairs. She should leave the house, go to a neighbor's house, knock on the door, have them call the police, go get help and whatever, and go back. That's the best chance she has to survive for her and her daughter. Boom. What do you do, JJ?
The expert's a fraud.
No?
Yes, he is. Because you don't ever, first of all, there's a couple of ladies in the audience right here.
160.
How many would let that guy in the front door? I don't care if he looked like Brad Pitt. Who would let him? Raise your hand if you'd let him in if he was wet and you felt sorry for him. Now, one arm went up.
Depends on what time of the month it is and all that good stuff.
It happens. That's why they're home invasions. That's why there's a study. They let them in.
Well, I just tell you this, and I've done a couple home
invasions.
Home invasions, yeah. No, I did a PowerPoint on this subject. For one, you don't let, if the barge is in, and then there's all kinds of different things you can do. You can, I talked to John. If you got to be one, you got to show them that you're not to be messed with. Most predators, they don't like any kind of confrontation. We learned that the Southside Rapist. So if you get firm with them and said she tried that. She said, get out, make your call, it's done. Well, she should have grabbed a knife or grabbed something in her kitchen, grabbed a gun. Would have been great if she could grab the gun, or even a baseball bat. And any mom, and if you're listening, you need to have tools in your house for just such an occasion if you're alone. A gun would be the best thing, and you get training in it. But you should have things you can have access to, especially if you have kids, even like a baseball bat or anything. A can of corn, if you throw it at them, and you got to be firm with them and get them out of the house. But I don't know.
All right, so the expert.
So saying, JJ, that and if you're a female and you're at home alone, or anybody, is that you should know what you can use as a weapon
Right.
in every room.
Right.
It doesn't mean that it needs to be a gun or a knife or
Every
Yeah.
room
it could
should
be
have
a
lamp.
yeah, whatever it is.
Right.
Going, if something happens, I'm going to use that as a weapon.
Exactly.
Okay, well, let me tell you what the study revealed. First of all, I have to back up on what JJ said. So I'm just trying to visualize mama throwing a bunch of cans of corn at a guy. Okay, but that's what you said.
I did. And
I'm going to whip you with a can of
whatever's
green
available to
beans.
you.
I could do some damage with a can.
Yeah.
of corn.
Okay, but this is a woman. Maybe she couldn't,
I bet
and then
she
you're
could.
inciting the violence. Right now, it's just been verbal,
No,
and everything's cool. You're going to throw a green bean can and miss a guy,
No.
and then
And you grab whatever you can grab.
Okay.
He already went past.
Mr.
the time.
SWAT's using green beans. He's going to whoop that guy's ass with a big ass green bean.
You know,
I'm
there's
saying-
if you're going to grab one can of corn or one, you know, whatever cupboard that is, there's like 12 of them in there,
Right.
and you just
Fire.
rapid fire.
All
that
right, so
shit.
here's what
Frying pan. You do grab whatever you can grab, and you
Right.
attack this. He needs to go. He already crossed the line, saying he ain't going anywhere.
100%.
So that's when you get on the aggressive, and you make this and make it.
Okay.
He's got to defend.
And that's what this study says exactly not to do. The study says if you leave, the guy is who he is. You're not going to change who he is. So if he was there and he's going to murder you and the daughter, and you stay there, you're not going to beat him with a green bean can. Eventually, he's going to kill you and he's going to kill your daughter if that was his intention.
I think
Intention.
you're completely underestimating canned goods.
Well, I'm just thinking about the 16-ounce can.
Well,
Now you go to that
whoa, whoa,
32-ounce can, you might hurt
right.
somebody.
You can
Listen,
joke- you can
I'm
joke
telling you
about
the
that, but
I'm telling you the
you could-
I'm telling you the
he might just want to
results.
rape the little girl. He might want. Who knows
Okay.
what he wants to do?
Okay, and then he would do it, but only you would not be able to, a woman would not be able to defeat this man in most cases,
Disagree.
and then he would kill you, and then he would still rape the daughter. The study said, I'm just
right,
showing you the
I'll
results
give
of the study,
I'll
but
give
you won't let me finish.
Okay, I'm sorry.
The results,
Please finish.
the results of the study are, you leave and go get help because you just disarmed him. His power is over the mom because mom can perceive the threat and she knows there's grave danger. The power is over her.
She
The
left-
daughter wanted him to show him the room, and he didn't come in to be a murderer of the daughter, hopefully. And if he did, he's going to murder him anyway. The results are go get help, come in, and then when you leave really quick, he's just going to be a bad babysitter. He's not going to do those things that you're hoping.
So what if he grabs her and throws her in his car? And
Here.
because that's
All of that,
facade.
all of those things, what they're saying is he would be able to do anyway if you stayed there and you got defeated in your home.
That's you don't get defeated. You have that warriors moms
Okay.
too, and that's
All
why.
right.
And first of all, she should never. I don't care if he looks like Brad Pitt or whatever. And you don't let any stranger in your house, especially at night or anytime. And you say no. You stay out there and you close the door and you hand him the phone over the door and hand him the phone if he needs it. Or just actually, you don't even do that. You say what number you want me to call, and you call 911 or you call whatever
There you
number
go.
he needs.
That's
Yeah,
what
you
Mary
never-
Michelle said to do.
What's
Never let
that?
him-
Mary
never-
Michelle saying what?
She said, "Don't let him in. Let's call
Right.
the police or call AAA or whoever
Right.
for him."
Right.
Yeah, but
100%.
that's the number one thing. And so just by the way, I heard this on a podcast, a scenario, and it wasn't live, so you couldn't get the this emotional feedback. But this just makes people cringe because it's against your nature to leave your kid at home. I'm just
agree.
telling you
Well,
results.
I mean,
I agree.
I
I
agree.
couldn't leave.
So
No, you don't let
So
anybody.
take it
in
to
though.
somewhat of a different scenario that if you're in any predicament with your kid, any predicament, robbery, whatever, and you feel that you're going to die or your kid's going to die or both of you are going to die, and you have a chance to escape, do you stay with the kid or do you escape and hope that you can get help that prevents the child from further harm?
I would have jumped on the guy and told the daughter to go next door and get help. And the mom has a better chance with the.
Delay, yeah.
Right. That's a
What do
good
you,
point.
in my
I agree with
scenario, JJ, what do you got? You're with your kid and you have a chance to escape a deadly situation.
No, you stay. I say
You stay and fight, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the thing is that the
That's right.
instinct doesn't let you just.
Most
You're just
moms
going to
aren't-
go down with your kid no
That's-
matter
I
what.
don't care how much if you tell every woman in the world. If
They're
this
not
ha-
going to leave their
if
daughter,
they're
and
not
that's
gonna-
what they said.
Well, they shouldn't. I don't believe they should. They need to fight tooth and nail, just like Tammy Sirocco. She was how old was she?
Yep.
15.
I know all four of our wives. They have a good shot against that guy. If he just
Well, if Lisa actually knows that because she's heard me tell this before because she's seen my PowerPoint. She goes, I have something in every room I can use.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, then you also,
and I hope so. I hope it's more than your green giant green beans. Because I'm just telling you, that
was
caught
just
me
one
off
of the
guard.
Scenarios if you can throw things at a frying pan.
I'm a canned good proponent.
And you know what else? And if you have a 2-story house, you always go, if you get upstairs and you lock yourself in the room, you go to the room. There's actually things that there's these ladders that I got a picture of one.
Yeah. Throw out the window.
Throw out the window and you can get out that way.
Seen those.
But they're all I'm giving another tip. So
if you got one of those, you've lost complete faith in humanity at all.
No. No, I'm saying
if you got a second floor inflatable slide to get out, you've lost your friggin' mind.
It's a ladder. It's all for a fire too.
All right.
So if you throw it down, you can get out. I'm going to show you a picture of it.
All right.
So I did that to get some energy in the room because they did say there's no mom that's going to do what they suggest you do.
No,
there's no way.
Right,
there's no
anybody for mom, dad, whatever. Leave your kids or leave your wife.
Yeah.
I called Corey B. Campbell.
Yeah.
With my one phone call.
Yeah. Well, if you had Corby Campbell, security group, this wouldn't happen because he would be there to deter the hot guy from knocking on your door in the first place.
Don't let the dumbass don't let the dude in.
And if the mom had taken B12 shot from Prime Performance, she would have been up ready to fight.
She would have been able to beat his ass.
She would have been whooping up on him.
Stone cold winner.
Yeah.
There go Mikey Mueller in the house.
Major Mueller's in the house.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we're live.
No How you doing, Mikey? We're live, Mikey. You got anything to say to the crew? No, he says all good.
So I wish that the mom and the daughter would have got out and gotten a Ford F-150 Lightning, went on down to Schicker Ford of St. Louis, and called for help down there. There'd be plenty. Probably the mobile van could have picked them up.
Yep.
But if you don't want to worry about the price on the sticker,
you head on down to Schicker.
Where you can get your price quicker.
He cannot do it, folks.
You get the best deal quicker. You get the best.
Yes, right, and a good price.
I was looking for this thing in my file, which I
knew damn well.
We actually rehearsed that.
I looked at him, and when you started it, he knew he didn't have his notes, and he panicked. He panicked. He's like, I don't have my notes. I don't know what to say.
He's got me all fired up about this thing because I think every woman that's listening to this needs to, never let them in, but if they get in somehow, you got to fight for your.
I thought you said every woman listening go down to Schicker.
What I told my wife is go down to Riverman Cigar Company and get a big cigar and put a huge cigar load in it.
Yeah.
And just offer the guy a cigar. When he lights it up, it
blows up in his face.
You grab the daughter and you run out the door.
Does Dan Ponder have that?
Dan Ponder sells those out the back door.
Right.
They're cigar loads.
They're an add-on. They're an added
So
expense.
what was the suggestion from Mary Michelle?
Not to let him in, just to make the call for him. Or she said, if you're going to use a can of corn, get a pillowcase and put about 10 of them in there.
That is huge.
That's a good idea.
See?
Look at that.
She's sharp.
See?
That is a strong move.
So now in everybody's pantry, there should
Code
be
red. Code red is
in
that.
every pantry. Put an empty pillowcase behind the can of corn. The safety tip.
Wow.
I told you this thing would be all about safety tips. There it is, right there.
But Mary Michelle came up with the best. That was good.
That's good.
Pillowcase full of.
But you need a pillowcase there. But you don't want the pillowcase always. Your canned goods always in the pillowcase. So you put
a nice folded one.
Empty folded pillowcase at the bottom of your canned goods.
Oh, jeez.
That's easily converted into a weapon. Boom.
I do like it. I really do like it. Tommy, what do we have next? Any updates on the studio?
We are working on.
I don't see any hammers or 2x4s.
Yeah, it's as we all know, we got expensive tastes.
Okay,
and,
the price is going up.
Yeah, we're picking things to use here, such as a 10-foot glass door. And the one that's
only 8 foot, so right off the bat, that's a problem.
10 foot long.
Oh,
so you can see in from the crowd.
Yeah.
And not cheap.
Okay.
I think it's a pipe dream right now.
No, we got. I mean, Schicker has stepped forward for us, and they want to help.
One of the reasons we start this podcast was because the news media didn't take the time to honor what the police do every day, or if they did cover what the police do every day, they spun it a little bit. So without getting very political, either
he's about to get political.
No. Let's just keep it straight. Either we blew up the bunker, the nuclear site, or we didn't.
Yeah.
You know what they
And so if you listen to a certain news agency, it's obliterated, and you listen to another one, oh, in 1.5 weeks they're back up and running, and boom, boom. What are we supposed to think?
That's tough to assess damage that's made 200, 300 feet underground.
Yeah,
because when it explodes underground,
it crumbles.
It doesn't like shoot things forward, or like you've seen back in the
Exactly.
The what was it, the Desert Storm.
Yeah.
I don't know about you on Desert Storm when that thing kicked off. That back in the day, CNN was all over that, and Fox wasn't even around. And what were they around? I don't even think they're around. But I was on that coverage because every morning they'd have a briefing of blowing shit up, and the military would come out, and they had these tomahawks and everything, and you'd see those precision, and you'd see that. And this one didn't have that because these things went way underground, right?
And blew
but you know what's cool about this? Well, the pilots that did 36 hours
from Missouri,
baby.
Missouri, and they should be praised as freaking heroes. They should be household names, and they don't because they're afraid of what they did or whatever. So you can't. But I mean, it's almost like the movie Maverick. I mean, that's how good these guys are. I mean, that was, obviously that was a fantasy, but it was a cool movie. Everybody's probably seen it. But they did almost the exact same thing.
Yep.
I think you're talking about Top Gun, Maverick in Top Gun, right?
Maverick was the second movie, right?
I don't know. I don't do movies.
The listener tell us what I thought it was Top Gun. Maverick was in Top Gun.
No, the second movie was Maverick.
Either way,
that's the one that just came out.
How can it be so
You need to
slanted?
watch that movie. It's a great movie.
Well,
it's ridiculous.
To me, it's just that what hurts my feelings is that there are people who in the media who are rooting for the thing to have failed because they don't want to see the president do well.
Success.
It's a nuclear armed Iran is a bad thing for the whole planet.
Yeah. But what about a successful America?
That's good for us.
That's good for the planet. Laurie Erson says part 2 was Maverick.
Okay, thanks,
you.
Laurie. You're right, JJ. I apologize.
And our good
You guys
friend,
need to see the movie. It's a great movie.
Our good friend George Harper, from the famous Harper family.
Yes.
Ralph and Cliffy and John and Eddie. He's listening from Omaha. So welcome, George.
Yeah, welcome, George. Peace.
Omaha, baby.
So everybody, if you're listening, chime in, give us your comments, bust our balls, whatever you want. I mean, tell me what you think about the Green Giant can flinging across the kitchen.
We got Sergeant Mazzola on.
All right.
Sean,
welcome.
He's a rapper. He's
He's been a guest.
Tony Morgan is listening and been commenting on how boring that story was. Cowboy Bob Orton on.
Yeah.
Did he think it was boring? Seriously?
What's
damn it.
Very boring.
The wife, and I'm guessing. I don't know. He told
No, I think it's
more stories.
the barcode thing.
And then
Whatever it is, it's one of Danny's.
I feel shame.
do any of you knuckleheads know Jabari Hayes?
Yes, Miles.
Okay. Bucho Bo wants to talk about Jabari Hayes getting busted.
So actually, we had Scott Rosenblum on our Federal Friday, and Scott was his lawyer, and that'll be out tomorrow. Actually, our interview with Scott. But that's one of the things we talked about is some of his involvement with the BMF, and Jabari Hayes was one of their couriers, and he drove around big stretch limousines. He drove around cars with traps in them, and that's why they called him Miles, is because he put some miles on them cars. And he had a strategy, and like Scott said, he was a nerdy looking guy, is why I put him in there. So when he would get pulled over, they're like, "Nah, this nerd's not dealing dope or in the dope game." But he would have either money or dope in the car. Usually, obviously, the only time he would drive him is when he was making a run. So he was involved in the BMF, but he got pulled over here in St. Louis twice in 2 months. Not St. Louis. The first one was in St. Louis, and it was done by the hotel motel crew. And the hotel motel people would look for signs, and they had snitches that were desk clerks and whatnot, or they would look for signs of people paying cash,
Last minute at the hotel,
short stays, things like that. And they got him one time, and they got him with like, I don't know, 500,000. And then, I think it was like Easter weekend or a little bit later. He's coming down 44, and he gets hit by Carmelo there right outside of Rolla, where we've talked about that thing where they put the family sign up that says "Get off the road."
Oh yeah.
And Carmelo's a longtime interdiction guy. And he got randomly pulled over by an interdiction guy that was doing interdiction stuff, looking for dope coming down the highway. What's ironic is that he had a bunch of kilos that time. So he had money in St. Louis and he had kilos in the car that time. But what's interesting on that is that there was probably 50, 60 wires done throughout this BMF case between Detroit and St. Louis. Never got pulled over relative to that case. Got pulled over here twice just on the on pure luck.
Stupid stuff.
Yeah. So, and then, Jabari's doing good. And he ran, Scott Rosenblum tells the story. Jabari was a track athlete and he ran track at at one of the historical black colleges. And you know who one of his track teammates were, who was very good? Kim Gardner.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's a little trivia for you. Scott told that. Sorry about that, Scott. But tomorrow they'll be coming out, and
It's pretty interesting.
had a good time with Scott. And you battle those guys in court, the good ones, and you feel better when you beat the good ones than you do the ones that don't try. Because anytime Scott takes something to trial, he thinks he can win.
Yeah.
He doesn't take it because he would have convinced the defendant, dude, you're up. You're battling a loser.
Yeah.
And it was an interesting conversation.
That's
He's just a normal guy. Yeah, we've had
Yeah.
beers with him over the years.
Yes.
Just a normal guy and had great stories. So that'll come out tomorrow.
Awesome. Do we have time for? Go ahead, producer John.
We got a new listener, Robert Smith, listened for the first time. He says he's really enjoying it. Hello, Robert.
Robert Smith.
And then Josh Fuller's been he's been chiming in, and he besides Crown Candy,
Andy?
want to talk about any good Northside restaurants that we enjoyed on duty.
What was that chicken place?
What was the
The Sarah Lou Cafe. I love the
Greg's.
Sarah Lou Cafe.
Greg's.
And then there was one up the street that closed, but I used to eat there when I was in the 5th District too.
What was the breakfast place in the 7th? It was everybody went to breakfast.
God.
Oh, Goody.
Goody.
Yes.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
really good.
Very
Awesome.
good.
Yeah.
Tanisha, remember Goody?
Very good.
Yep. Sarah Lou Cafe. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. They sponsored us in softball, police softball team.
Anything else, Johnny?
Keep the questions coming, keep the comments coming, but I think it's time. Should we?
Well, I
does he
have one
any
more.
music?
I have one more
on
thing.
today's
We have time?
day.
Yeah, today's day.
Right. Come on.
We do. 'Cause I like this because
What do you got?
I always brag about making us smarter. And I see a smart guy. Paul Hankhouse is in the crowd. He's one of the smartest guys I know.
That's debatable.
In my captain's office, at the
How
end
many
of our
people?
shift,
How many people you know?
6. I know 6, but he's the smartest of all of them.
All right.
But back in the day when I was a captain, Paul worked with me, and he would come in my office at the end of our shift, and we'd play Jeopardy. We'd get on Jeopardy, and we would just dominate it. And then he burst my bubble one day when he said, Captain, this is kids Jeopardy. And I was like so depressed. I thought I was.
So you were just
smartest guy.
listening. Hopefully you weren't looking.
The answers seemed easy, I guess.
And you did really good on the colors on Sesame Street. Too.
Romper room. I see Paul. But so Paul's in the crowd. So I want today in 1246, and I want to ask JJ because he's a smart guy with the green beans.
What year again?
1246.
We're going back a minute.
Going back a minute.
What was it like?
Do you
in
know
1246?
do you know where the term "Hey, pay the piper" came from? Do you know? And I'm not going to take any listeners that are looking it up yet, but we'll see. Do you know where that term? Hey, it's time to pay the
A
piper.
guy that played the pipes like a musical thing, and then they paid him because they keep him playing.
Well, you're actually pretty close. You're actually pretty close. Okay, in 1246 in Hamelin, Germany, the city was overrun with rats. Dude, are you reading my shit?
No,
Because we caught you. We caught you cheating last week.
Read that.
Okay, are you going to keep interrupting me again? Because this we would have been done half an hour ago.
I heard this. That's the piper.
In 1246,
That's right.
in Hamelin, Germany, the city was overrun with rats, disgustingly rats.
Doesn't sound
They
good.
hired a guy. They called him the Pied Piper, and pied means multicolored clothing. He came in with a multicolored shirt and a flute,
They didn't like
and they said to him, "No, listen to him." So they said,
And a
"Get
flute?
rid of these
A
rats
flute.
and a flute." And so he said, I can rid this entire city of your rats with my flute, the Pied Piper. And they said, if you do, we're going to pay you this much. And the Pied Piper played his flute all over that town and ran the rats right into the Weiss River in Germany, and they died. He got rid of all the rats with his flute.
I've heard the story before.
Time to get paid.
Right.
And the town makes a command decision and said, we're not paying the Pied Piper. They ganked him. He didn't get paid. So what he does is, I can just pause now for your interruption, or I can keep going.
No, go ahead. I'm done.
Okay. So what he does is, he goes, okay, you're not going to seriously pay me? So he plays his flute and he draws all the children from the town. They love to hear him play his flute. And he starts to a parade up into a mountain in Germany. He takes all the town's kids into the mountains, following him playing his flute, and they never saw the kids again. That's revenge. And that's why they say, time to pay the piper.
So the piper was a.
So the moral of the story is, you made a deal.
I don't know if
and you ganked them. It was it's a historic fact.
2 points to make here.
Fact.
I got one.
1246.
Josh Fuller answered that way before you got to the punchline.
Well, he
said
didn't have JJ in his ear interrupting.
he took their children, is what Josh said. Now, what I would have done is play the flute, but play it backwards, and all the rats would have came back out of the water.
I was thinking.
So here's your fucking rats back.
I was thinking it was going that way too.
Isn't that true? That I always wonder what they said.
I don't know
time
who
to pay
made
the
that
piper.
story up.
No, it's not. It's a 1246 historical fact.
It's not.
I call
It's
it. I call it a complete.
It's not a
myth.
legend.
Myth.
It's not a myth.
It's a myth.
It's a myth.
All right.
It's just a legendary story that somebody made up that just made it through.
But how many times have you heard, "Hey, time to pay the piper"?
I get it.
Yeah.
No, I get that.
So that's. I'll give you a little history.
There may
I'm
be
just
some,
telling,
there's
I'm
probably
just
some
telling
truth
you
to
the
it.
stories.
Yeah.
The story ain't right. It's right up there with Noah's Ark. You know, I'm not saying that. I mean, you got to have faith, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
They found the ark.
Right. Yeah, that's what they did. Yeah. We're exactly two animals on there from every species.
That'd be a bitch.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm not saying that, but you do. It's
neat, wasn't it? Did you know all that? Have
you
you ever heard all about the Pied Piper?
I did.
I have not heard about the Pied. I've heard the Pied. You know, the Pied
Time to pay the piper.
But I never heard the whole story about the rats and then the kids.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
And that's where
I
the
think there's
bullshit
actually-
comes in. I'm with you that the Pied Piper can get some people
I think
to walk through
there's
the
like a
thing.
cartoon.
Oh, we're going
or
to follow the
something
Pied Piper. He plays a cool flute, and you follow him around and you dance. I thought that's what it was like. I didn't know that he was running rats into the river.
And kids out of town.
Yeah, come on, man.
We got to get Mark on the show.
All right, it's time to get Mark on. We got to wrap this thing
Mark
up.
Wassam, no, we just got to scoot over and get him in here. Yep.
Come on.
Oh, come on, Mark. I'm going to have to scoot this way. This is your mic now.
What did Michelle say about that Pied Piper story?
Michelle said that was a dumb story.
No, she didn't. Don't. Hey, if you're making things up, then I'm gonna have
Is
to.
Michelle still on
How's Danny's duper score?
It's not legit because I haven't played enough tournaments to beef up my duper score. Who asked that question?
Mary Michelle.
Yeah, that's a weird thing, and I'm bailing on it because I played a tournament. It's a long story, Mary Michelle, but it's not good.
And Emily wants to know if Tommy Gunn is going to cut his hair on the next live show.
No, mic's not up for some reason.
It's up.
All right,
Mark, what's up?
How you doing?
Grass stains are all off your shirt.
I know.
You did good.
I'm fresh out of the field on the 2005 Minnesota.
Yes. So we always took care of Mark Wassam on the job, and for two reasons. Number one, because he was a great detective, very aggressive, very smart, very energetic. But number two, his dad was a legend.
well, that's what you're going to hear a lot of his really good stories
Right.
coming out Monday. And we didn't even talk about his dad on that.
Oh, you didn't?
No, we didn't talk about his dad and a couple other things because we wanted to use it for the live show.
Okay. All right.
And Phil, his dad,
The throw.
Phil the Thrill Wassam.
that's what his name was. Phil the Thrill was absolutely loved by. There was nobody that didn't like Phil. He just had one of those gregarious
Personalities.
Sharp wit.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Smart ass.
So was that one of the reasons that you became a policeman, Mark?
Yeah, it was always about growing up. Let me back it up a little bit about my father. My father came on in 1972, He was married to my mom, and my mom and dad got divorced when we were 5 years old. My brother was 3, I was 5. And what happened in the 70s that don't normally happen is that my dad got custody of me and my brother. And we grew up around the police department. It was policemen everywhere. We went to the, tavern or whatever with them. we did stuff. It was all about growing up around the police force. So I knew from the get-go that, hey, this is what I wanted to do. I always wanted to be a policeman. And the love and everything that the police department showed me really motivated me to want to be a policeman. But the one story that sticks out when we were kids, my brother came down with a disease called Lake-Perthes disease. He had to get surgery at Shriners Hospital real quick and all that kind of stuff. The police association, we lived in South St. Louis and Beeville Mill area. The police association brought an Atari to our house because they knew my brother was going to be laid up for a long time. We were the first city Hoosiers to have Atari. And it was by far, we were the coolest kids on the block. We had Atari. And it was all because of the policemen's wives, association wives. They came by, they dropped off the Atari, and we was the best thing ever. From there on, I mean, there's stories after stories of how the police department has taken care of me and my brother and my dad. And then later on, my dad married my stepmom, and all that kind of stuff. And, we lived happily ever after. However, there were so many times that the police department came through under the viaduct, playing volleyball, second district, at a lot party or whatever. I got exposed to all that kind of fun stuff in Forest Park, softball games. So I knew from the get-go, one, how the police department operated, and two, how the camaraderie was. We might not have that today as much as we did back in the 70s and 80s, but the camaraderie was off the charts when it came to the police department. And me and my brother were exposed to it. It was phenomenal. And, I always tell everybody when I came on the police department, it was always about chasing the legacy, because my father was he was a legend. He had a legacy, and it was always about chasing the legacy and not letting them down.
Yeah. Yep. That's what motivated you, wasn't it?
You know what? Though?
Yeah, absolutely. Never letting them down, because, you hear plenty of stories about policemen's kids, end up being not so good, or, let that legacy fall. I was not going to, since 2003, I was not going to do that. I was motivated. I would never let my father down in that aspect.
This is a podcast we're trying to help police recruit, not just for us, but
sure,
for the whole country, whoever, how many million viewers. We're trying to get young kids to realize what a great job this is. And that's a camaraderie.
Family.
And I always compare it to being on a sports team, that locker room
Absolutely.
stuff. It's the closest you can get to being on a professional sports team or college sports team or high school sports team is to be a policeman. When it's a bunch of guys had the same goal and they have the same interest, and is the camaraderie. And look at us, we've been friends forever, and we enjoy seeing each other all the time, having beers, and that's why you become a policeman. The job is fun, and the camaraderie is probably number one.
It's become more difficult over the years, but the camaraderie and the family atmosphere is still there. Like we just have to find it. Right. You just have to be in the right department. You just really want to, be the right kind of policeman, and it's there. It's there for the taking. And there's a lot of opportunity for, especially a lot of young policemen out there that want to, aspire to be police or go into federal agencies. This is the opportunity now. And when you get there, you're going to have all these opportunities, and you're going to feel the camaraderie and everything that makes you happy in life and gets you down the right path.
Right. And I think it's important for listeners to know that it is a career that you can raise a family, have a nice house, put them through good schools, and retire.
Play pickleball.
And play pickleball.
You got to work a lot of secondary jobs too, security jobs, unless they start paying us right.
Well,
here's a good deal.
You can still do it. You can still do it.
My father was in homicide for years, and he had this reputation of, being a good homicide detective, but he was also a funny guy. Everyone loved Phil because Phil the Thrill. He was a funny guy. He made jokes. We won't repeat them.
He had that voice.
But
that raspy voice.
Yeah.
He would be smoking a cigarette. They'd be at Charlie Gito's having a Christmas party, and they're like, "Hey," someone would ask him a question, and he would answer the question. It was funny, and it's then it becomes urban legend, and everyone knows Phil the Thrill's jokes. But one thing about secondary, he said secondary. I came on in 2003, and my dad worked at the ballpark for Jerry Leishak. And he's like, listen, he goes to Jerry, I want my son to work the ballpark. Now, this is the old ballpark. This isn't the new one because they didn't move till 2006. And he's like, hey, will you give my son my spot? I was like, yeah. He's like, yeah. So 2003 into 2004, I got to work the ballpark. And of course, they go against the
Boston Red Sox.
in the World Series. And that's my exposure. And there was nothing better than working, because the ballpark used to be
the secondary job,
the primary.
Right.
And it was there was a whole list of people that Jerry says, no, there's 80 people wanting to get on this ballpark. But he did it for my father. Him and my father were good friends. And I cherished that opportunity. I never took it for granted. And all the World Series I worked, the years I was at the police department, and all the exposure to people and fans and stuff like that, it was all because of my father. Right. My father stepped away so I could have, he still worked another 4 years after that, but he didn't work the ballpark, How
many times you fight in the Guns and Hoses?
6.
6 times. What's your record?
4-2.
Nice. Very nice.
They weren't just boxing. He did
some MMA.
But when your father, how many times did he get to watch you fight?
So he watched me fight 3 times.
Okay.
And there's another story about my father, how he was so proud of me. It was, and everyone knows, my brothers, my sister, my stepmom, everyone knows, my wife, Wendy, they all know how proud he was. There's a story going on that everyone tells at all the family functions, that they'd be late at night, be like 2:00 in the morning, my dad having a Manhattan or whatever, or smoking a cigarette, and they would hear him like cheering, yeah, stuff. And they go and check on him, like, what's going on? He's in there in the living room by himself. Well, back in the day when you fought, you got a cassette tape of your fight.
Yeah.
He put it in a VCR. He knew the outcome of the fight. He's still really cheering for me. Yeah. He was still like, hey, go kick his ass.
I could be the same.
He's seen it 19 times.
That's awesome.
That's how proud he was. And I knew that. And I never, I miss him every day. And he was always a guy I would always call, especially after a big case or something like that, or something I needed advice on. I would call him and he'd give me the advice. And it was always about one thing he told me. He's like, hey, so when you're writing a narrative, make sure you're telling a story that everyone can understand. And when you're out there on the street, it's focus over fear. You focus on something, you won't fear it. And that's pretty
much. That's a guy. Focus over fear.
Bill the Thrill was
he was a philosopher.
Yeah, I love that.
And a jokester.
Phil the philosopher.
So with Phil the Thrill, you have focus over fear. With JJ, you have green giant green beans.
You know what? You can be funny, Danny, but I'm going to say one thing. Mark just told it. I figured he was going to get emotional, and you can look at him now. He got emotional talking about that, and I think that is just so awesome. And
he's what we're about.
He's probably going to punch me later for pointing that out, but that's cool, and I like it.
Well, you didn't let him down, and
he made him proud,
you have your own legacy now.
That damn fly! It's here.
It's every Thursday. There's one fly that comes every Thursday. Hangs in the rafters.
We think it's the same fly.
It's definitely the same fly.
I think it's the same.
Flies
We've got a couple comments.
Good.
The handsomest guy I know, from Wendy Wassam.
Oh,
she didn't say which person, though. I'm assuming it's Mark.
JJ.
It's JJ. That's crazy.
And then we got a first-time listener, Dan Model for Famous Bar. I swear I've seen him modeling Big Yank jeans.
What are Big Yank jeans? But I want some.
Big crank jeans.
I already heard he's well hung.
Here another new listener named Steve Rambo says,
I want that name, by the way.
That's a good name. It's fake.
He wants to know if Dan's shirt color is salmon.
It is.
It is 100% salmon.
Confidence in his manlyhood.
It is
your Big Yank jeans.
I don't know if they'd go together, but I'll try it. I'm confident. I'm a confident guy.
Keep it coming in, listeners.
Oh yeah,
viewers.
I like that. But
those. Mark, one of the things that he came in with like 9 stories that he had wrote that he can talk about, and Mark he might have got some help from his dad because everybody knew what he was, but he got where he got.
100%. That's what I was trying to get at. 100%.
And he had some tremendous jobs over the years, and then got involved in great cases because he did a great job everywhere.
100%.
And you hear about a lot of those stories that'll come out Monday, but one we didn't get to is, I believe it was up on McNair, where you just kind of wandered in and then somebody made you get one of the shields that was provided. But tell that story real quick.
So that story is it's about a guy. So at that time I was in the fugitive task force, and we had done fugitive arrests all day. It was a long day, and all of a sudden the 3rd district started getting all these calls for a guy threatening to kill his girlfriend. You could hear her screaming in the background, but we didn't know where we had a block area. So the district cars were driving around trying to find this guy and this girl who's screaming in the background. And every time a patrol car would go by near the area, he would say, "Hey, I see you. By the time you get here, she's going to be dead," and all that kind of stuff. So we did our intel thing. We hit the phone, emergency. We find out where he's at. He's in a carriage house in the 2800 block of McNair. He's in a carriage house in the back. So we have a little briefing, and we're just talking about, hey, we're going to go up. And I'm thinking, this is some drunk. It's a drunk white Hoosier up here talking about his girlfriend going to kill her. But and I played it cheap. I really did. And I always, when I went to the academy and taught, I tell the story to the academy when I was teaching there. We did a brief, and we go, we're going to go up to the house. We're going to get this guy out, get him in handcuffs, and take him out. Whatever. We know where he's at. He's in the carriage house. So right before we go to break, Mark Sirocco goes, "Hey, do me a favor, just take this shield, would you?" I'm like, "Yeah, all right." So I take the shield. It's a little shield that the police foundation bought.
Yeah.
Okay. And they keep them in the trunk of the sergeant's car. So I was like, "Yeah, I'll take it, whatever." So we go up to the corner. It's an L-shaped carriage house in the back of this address. And I go up to the L part, and I got 6-7 people behind me on a stacked up. And we can hear him yelling and all that kind of stuff. And he sounds drunk. And so I start peeking the corner. I'm down, and I got the shield, and I'm peeking the corner, and I'm looking back at Dan Early. I'm like, "Hey, listen, I see him. He's pulling down the curtains." I'm like this. And all of a sudden I see a flash. Boom. And now I'm on my back. And everyone's chaotically running over me and running. And I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to feel the second. Here comes the second one or something like that. Or, I'm getting ready for the second shot to get shot. Dan pulls me over. We get out of there, and we back out of the area. Of course, 7250 SWAT comes in. They shoot a bunch of gas into the house, and eventually he lets the girl go. She comes out to us. We're shooting gas, or they're shooting gas in there, and then eventually he took his life. But what we didn't know at the time, he only had 2 bullets. He had one, he tried to kill me, and he had one, he's going to kill himself.
Wow.
And it was shotgun. It was a slug. And the slug hit my shield and went up and went to the trees and stuff like that. But Mark Sirocco saved my life that day.
Wow.
And, it's crazy.
That is crazy. That's a crazy.
Not only did he saved your life, but it shows you the importance of the police foundation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Without the police foundation,
buying the shields,
equipment,
yeah.
Mark Sirocco said, "Dude, we got this for a reason."
Yeah.
And then didn't make you, but highly suggested, "Hey, Mark, do me a favor."
No, he saved my life. And then this is the thing. And so I told that same story to the foundation out at Annie Guns one time to raise some money. And as I told the story, I'm standing up there with Dan Dierdorf, and I'm giving the whole spiel, just like I told you guys. So that like $500,000, boom, just came in, like boom,
Yeah.
boom.
Really?
Like they want to help us. They want to give us the equipment. All our best interest, the foundation has our best interest, the policemen and the police, all in the metropolitan area, and they want to get us the equipment so we can survive, so we can do our job correct.
They're incredible.
And it's just crazy how good they are.
Yeah.
But that story, and that was the one time that I couldn't call my dad because he had passed already. So I had to call Wendy, my next go-to, and like, "Hey, listen, something crazy."
She's the new Phil.
Well, yeah, she's the new Phil. I was like, "Hey, I had to call someone," and I called her, and it's just crazy. And so they take us back to the station. They take the thing out of the shield, and you can see the big hole
slug.
in the slug, and it's right here, where my chest is, like where I was holding the thing. And at the time, I didn't really think I couldn't believe he shot at me, and I didn't return fire, and I was on my back, and people were running over me. I'm thinking, what's going on? So it's just. I love to tell that story at the academy for the young policemen when I was teaching there, and also for everyone else to know how important the police foundation is.
Right.
They're
Then one other thing is not
Michelle
to take shit cheap.
Yeah,
because you would have
when you work a long
easily
day, and I played
peeked around
cheap,
that corner without that thing.
Yeah, I played cheap, and I don't play cheap anymore. But it took a lesson, but it could have been a bad lesson. I could have never learned that lesson. I could have been dead there on the sidewalk on McNair. So it's just like sometimes we get so hell bent on working and hard on stuff, we let our guard down. And when we let our guard down, that's when it's going to happen.
When you play
100%.
When you least expect it, that's when the policemen are going to get hurt.
It's a great
we know
message.
that with all our stories.
100%.
You'd be interested to know. The other day I had roll call. We're doing this tornado relief thing. So a bunch of the young officers listen to the podcast, and they always ask, who's going to come on? Who you got to come on? I go, Mark Wassman's coming on. And they go, oh, I was in the academy when he was teaching the academy. He told some crazy story. He told some good stories. So obviously that was one of the stories they heard, and that was kind of cool that they're like, I think they're impressed that I knew you.
It's not about this. See, that's the problem with when we teach these young policemen. We tell too many war stories and not learning stories.
Right.
So
Well, you got both out of yours. We got
Right.
we covered everything out of yours.
That's actually a perfect.
Yeah, that's a great story for a teaching moment.
Here's another one: is that Mark got an off duty incident right in front of his. I believe you were living in the lofts at the time, weren't you?
I was.
Tell us about that one.
Well, Wendy and I and my Veda and Oliver, we went to the movies out in South County, and we were living at the lofts at 20th and Washington Avenue. The address was actually on Locust. And so we went out there to South County, went to the movies. We're coming back, and I turned the corner to park the car, and I see one guy standing by a car breaking into the car. I see three others standing on the corner, and they're breaking into cars, and I'm like, okay. So I do a U-turn. I pull to the curb. I tell the family, go inside. Actually, my daughter and Wendy went up first. And then when I thought that I was going to have to do something, I sent Oliver, my son, up the stairs too. So they're all up in the loft.
I thought you said you sent Oliver at the
No,
guy.
like, hey,
Oliver, go get him, baby.
Go get him.
Oliver, go get a can of corn.
And a pillowcase.
Hey, John.
And a pillowcase.
Sorry, JJ.
So they go upstairs, and I get out of the car and I approach them, and I was like, hey, you guys don't belong here. All this kind of stuff. And they group together, they merge together, and they're on a corner. I'm in the middle of the street. I think you don't belong here. Go back. And I'll be truly honest. I was like, go back to wherever you just came from. You're not breaking into cars and all that kind of stuff. Well, they all start running down the middle of the street towards Delmar to the north. And all I hear is one guy say, hey, fuck that motherfucker. Shoot that motherfucker. And so one guy in a red jacket turns around and just pulls a gun out and starts boom, 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 boom. Starts shooting at me. So I run around a U-Haul. I come back their side, and I come up, boom, 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 boom. And we both miss. Right?
Oh, I was just going to
So now, because originally I was just going to call, after they took off running, I was like, I'm going to call 911. I'll give them the description. I know they're broken into cars, whatever. Well, after all that happened, I go, well, now I'm calling 911, and now I'm running after them. So I'm running, and we're running. And the best part of this whole story that made everything work out really well is we're running towards Central Patrol. So I get on dispatch. I'm like, hey, this is, Officer Wassam, DSN 6652. I've been fouled in a shooting. We're running this way. We got four guys, one's armed. So we get across Jefferson. We get to the furniture store on the side of the furniture store, directly across from, well, before we get there, the dispatch goes, hey, are you in need of aid? I go, yes. Get everyone to Dr. King and Jefferson, because that's where we're running. So we get out there and we get to this vacant field between the furniture store right by the gas station. And I'm keeping focus on the guy in the red jacket because he had a pistol. Well, now I don't see a pistol. So now it's on. So we're fighting, and I'm chugging with him. And all of a sudden the pistol falls out of his waistband, hits my shoe. So I pull him on the street, and I'm getting winded at this point because we just ran 3 blocks. I'm tussling with this guy.
I'm sure he's winded too.
This is the best thing. I look up, and I see about 40 policemen come running out of Central Patrol, just like it was like Braveheart, and they're all coming towards us and running. I'm like, oh, thank God. So we get him handcuffed and all that kind of stuff. And they end up, he was 17 years old, and that's when it was still an adult crime. And they end up getting him 6 years for that. But at one of the better parts of the story is that Wendy doesn't even know anything that's happening.
She's in bed with Oliver, and then they're just sleeping.
Yeah.
He'll be back soon.
I'm in
They heard
the
the
car,
shots. I know
and one of the officers, who's a female officer, takes my phone, like, hey, I'm calling your, she was my girlfriend at the time. And so she calls him, and when he's like, hello, and this girl's talking like, hey, Mark's been involved in a shooting, blah, blah, blah. And she started freaking out. No, he's right. And she started to look out the balcony, like, no, he's right down there. No, I wasn't. So it was an off-duty, incident.
She should have said
I didn't get
he's
shot.
fine.
They didn't
First
get
thing out of
shot.
work.
The guy got 6 years, and then we moved from the loft shortly after that.
And then
The guy got locked up.
Yeah, he got 6 years.
then he sat down for a minute, minute. But the other thing is that one of the things that is interesting is you're very big in the MMA, and there's a guy by the name. He's very involved in the Guns and Hoses. He's very Jesse Finney.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Is one of your best friends.
Yes.
Now I'm going to surprise you with this one, but I was told to ask you about you and Jesse sinking a boat.
Really?
So let me hear about that.
Well, it's it's been a story told many times. So Lake Sarah is out there off of 141 and all that kind of stuff. Jesse Finney had a John boat. He called me one day, goes, "Hey, listen, let's go out fishing. I got a little barbecue pit. We're gonna go out fishing on Lake Sarah, you know." And so I go out to his house in Crestwood. We take the little John boat. We get it. We put the John boat in the water, and we're drinking all day and all that kind of stuff, and just drive, you know, floating around the Lake Sarah or whatever this little lake was. It gets dark, so we're just heading back. We look up, and we're pretty drunk. We're drinking. We're drinking.
We gotta admit that.
We were drinking shots, and we had a barbecue pit with hot dogs. You know, nothing big.
On the John boat?
On the boat?
No, yeah, on the John boat. Yeah,
That's impressive.
So we're starting to go back to the where we take the boat out, get the boat out, and there's a park ranger waiting for us, and we're like, oh shit. And we both stand up and we both lean to the same side, and the boat goes completely over. Everything goes over. Everything, you know, like gets flipped over and all that kind of stuff. Our statute of limitations are up on this one, so we're like, oh shit. So we wait for him to leave, and we flip the back of the boat around. We lost everything in the boat. We're all wet. My pistol's wet. All that kind of stuff. We're all kind of stuff. We get up to the boat dock, and we're going in there, and we're starting to get the dock out. And here he comes back. I hurry up, run over to the woods, and I put my pistol down. And as soon as the warden comes up, Jesse goes, "He's an FBI agent," pointing at me. I'm like, no, I'm not an FBI agent. I'm a St. Louis City policeman. Our boat flipped. I'm sure we're slurred when I'm saying this.
But that's because the water was cold.
Yeah. We had Rosenblum on earlier, so he's got you on.
Right.
That was hey, Scott's a good guy.
That was 12 years ago.
So we get the boat out and we go back to the house, and Jesse's girlfriend, now wife, is mad at us. They won't. And at this point, we lived at the loft downtown, so I had no way to get home. Jesse wasn't leaving the house. I had no car. All this kind of stuff. So I walk over to Watson and I get on the bus. I ride the bus. I got a bottle of honey. What's the booze with
American honey.
I got a little bottle of American honey on my back pocket. I get on the bus
to fit in on the bus.
Everyone wants to be my friend. I get to the Shrewsbury station. I get on the Metrolink. I go home. I get down to downtown, walk like 6 blocks to the loft, and Wendy is pissed too. I'm like, I was no win. I was wet, and I had put my phone in rice and all that kind of stuff. But
that doesn't work.
That shit doesn't work. It's all because of him.
Huh?
I do nothing wrong.
Honey, you ain't gonna believe this.
Can you tell why he was a good copper? The energy he has.
Oh, dude,
it's the same energy.
Unbelievable.
30 years ago.
The story he told you about you being his lieutenant. But we're gonna save that one. You got to listen on Monday to get that one.
Yeah,
but that one was pretty funny. We were heckling.
One last thing, I don't know if we're winding down or not, but one of my best times in my career, most fun I had, was when I had a Harley. Blossom had a Harley. Staggies in the crowd had a Harley, and we'd go ride on like whenever. We had the best time riding bikes together. So they were there.
Did you drink?
No, of course not.
It's illegal.
All your Harley riding.
It was so much fun though. But that was a good time.
Yeah,
he had a Harley and he had a
what's that by?
2 holsters on both sides. JJ did a can of 16-ounce green beans on this side, 32-ounce green beans on this side.
I don't care an off duty. I carry
Freaking green beans. Get out of here.
We did a wheelie down Manchester once.
Going back to Phil to Thrill.
Yes.
We went. He was in the St. Louis Police Relief Association.
Yes.
With Bull Ward and the crew, and Bull was one of his best buddies, and Tommy Burgoon was one of his best buddies, and what I'd like to do is ask everybody for some prayers for Tommy Burgoon. You know, he's still battling that that issue.
Absolutely.
So, and you know, and they were just a hoot to hang out with.
Oh yeah.
You know, you go down there and they'd be like they were like the 3 amigos. It would be Phil, Bull, and Tommy Burgoon, and they'd all have like a beer in front of them or whatever they had in front of them, and just a joy to talk to, and they'd make you laugh immediately.
Yeah.
Did you tell the story ever on this program about Bull Ward and how they wrote a special order just because of him?
No.
He wrestled a bear, and they wrote a special order. You can't wrestle a bear. And they did it as a joke. It was
where did he wrestle this bear?
It was at some promotion, hey, wrestle a bear for so much money kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
This is in the 70s.
Was this at Jamestown Mall?
I don't know where it was, but they wrote a special order after that you couldn't wrestle a bear as a policeman. That's a Bull Ward story.
You had to be told not to wrestle a bear.
Yeah.
Did he win?
I'm not wrestling no bear.
Know.
Obviously, he's still around.
He's a wrestler.
Running
I think the wrestling bears, though, they had their claws taken from them, which is kind of unfair. That's
Yeah.
what bears are known
No,
for.
I think they're much stronger than us. I think that's
Right.
Yeah, I think they'd be all right.
Right. Anytime you get the verb of maul attached to your what you do to people, bears maul people. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
They don't attack people; they maul them.
Yeah.
At Jamestown Mall.
The double maul.
Well, and that kind of Mary Michelle's friend Rachel wanted to know if any of us had any crazy calls at the zoo. So we had a bear story.
There you go.
I personally never got a call at the zoo. Anybody else?
Actually, I got a funny story about the zoo. It's not a call there, but and I'm not going to mention any names, but there was a commander of the South Patrol, and there was a sergeant of the South Patrol, and the sergeant of the South Patrol wanted to buy, because they were, the park was part of his, or the zoo was part of his area, is he wanted to buy some kind of friggin' gun that would kill certain livestock like elephants and shit like that. And the commander's like, you gotta be kidding me. No, we're not getting a special elephant gun just in case.
In case an elephant breaks loose.
Right. We'll just have to call in whoever deals with elephants.
You know, we're going to get some experts on that question, because we have a lot of retired coppers that are working at the zoo, and I know there are some good zoos.
There's got to be
Well,
good
they
zoo
had
One in
stories.
the audience right now.
Who?
Marcinkiewicz, you got any good zoo stories?
Is there-
Somebody's asking about the zoo.
Yeah. Two bears escaped,
Send Bull Ward.
Then they went into Bull Ward, and
and
then
he wrestled them.
He wrestled them.
He got written up.
He grappled them. He got written up, and that was all right. Well, that's good. Yeah. Hey, Mark, will you stay long enough to listen to JJ Zen?
We can do that still?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
JJ Zen. John, do we have any producer? John, do we have any
we got
Zen
some
music?
It's because because Danny gave it to me.
And talking
I
to
gave
the
you
mic
this
when
one?
you talk.
Well, that you gave me
Okay, good.
from Denise. Actually, Denise. We done great. A good leader doesn't only inspire us to have confidence in what they can do. A great leader inspires us to have confidence in what we do. That music's really loud.
Yeah, the music would kind of overcut that one. One more time.
Sorry.
Nobody tells producer John how loud to play the music.
That's true. Good point.
Sorry
Producer
about that. Sorry about that.
I'll redo it again. I don't like doing it twice. A good leader doesn't only inspire us to have confidence in what they can do. A great leader inspires us to have confidence in what we can do.
There you go.
That's it.
That's it. Leadership.
That was a book that Denise gave me.
I did some good shit. You need to do some good shit too. That's what
Exactly.
I'll wrap that up.
Producer John, do you have any musings at the
Come on, you
microphone?
got to have something, John.
Yeah, producer John's looking for an intern.
You have Patrick. Where'd Patrick go?
Where'd he go?
He's out there all busted up somewhere,
gone.
eating a Seabo's pizza.
Yeah.
So I'm taking applications.
This live stuff's got you going a
Stressed
little bit
out.
too much.
Preferably somebody younger who's got some technical skills.
IT skills.
Maybe like a college girl.
Yeah, that has
Okay.
some IT skills.
Yeah,
I thought Maria was helping you for a
Maria
minute.
was. Yeah,
Hey, do we got all our sponsorships out there?
I think we do.
We're good.
All right.
And then we
Okay.
also rattle off a couple more during Mark's interview too. So
Yeah, I think
some people
we're
are going to
good.
get a double whammy this week.
A double whammy.
Yep.
okay.
So-
I got Josh Fuller's back on. He said Marcinkiewicz used to come in the Mom's Deli all the time with George Hyder,
100%.
Niemeyer, Jack Fleming.
100%.
Worked there with Cindy Hutchcraft.
Yes.
And the Marcinkiewicz that's in the crowd is his son.
This is
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
his son.
So that was
Same-
Josh
same-
Fuller or John Fuller?
Josh Fuller's talking about your father.
Yeah, going into Mom's Deli. And that whole Mom's Deli thing really bums me out. I
they
can't stand to drive by there and see that thing boarded,
reopened.
closed on.
They're open up on
They're supposed to reopen it on Hampton, but I don't see anything happening.
Okay.
I don't see
Hey,
anything
you know
happening.
what? I got a beef with you.
Oh, sorry, JJ.
Not really beef, but you lied to me.
Okay.
What happened?
So he found out he had inside information that 55 from South County to the city was going to be completed by the end of May, early June. They're not even close.
Yeah,
They almost like they stopped working on it.
You got bad
Yeah.
info, Danny?
I did get some bad intel.
Yeah, that's
Why are
yeah.
you don't see him out there anymore? What's going on with that?
I don't know, JJ, but I appreciate you calling me out.
No, because when I drive it every day, I'm like, Howard lied to me.
Yeah,
I got a
that's
good
terrible.
traffic story.
Uh-oh.
So I had my music playing and I pull up and I had the window down. I'm smoking a cigarette and smoking whatever. But And I'm just sitting there, and then the left turn lane, the guy there, but he doesn't. I got my window down, but he doesn't have air conditioning, so his window's all the way down. And I was playing Boz Scaggs Lowdown.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, hey, that's some great music.
I like it. I like it.
I said, yeah, all right. And then I changed it to Lido. He's like, yeah.
It was a long line.
McCausland?
It's a long
McCausland?
line.
And
You
how
ever
do
been at the McCausland Arsenal light?
it's
Oh, yeah,
a pain,
it is
but
tough.
Jesus Christ.
how do you know he didn't have air conditioning?
I don't know why you'd have your passenger window all the way down in this heat.
Because he didn't have a stereo and he wanted to listen to yours.
I would imagine that was it too.
Tommy, are we live next week as well?
Yeah. Well, next week's July 4th. What do you guys think?
Well, we'll let our
July
listeners
3rd.
decide.
Yeah, we'll be live.
The third.
And then I want to also say I interviewed Mike Fagan.
Okay.
And Mike Fagan is an ex-U.S. attorney that had been around forever, a tremendous attorney. And I interviewed him yesterday about the Jerry Lewis Bay case, 7.5 week trial. And he laid out all the like a timeline of what happened and what they did.
Are you going to make that multiple episodes or?
No, just be one.
Like
But
BMF?
he was here for about an hour and 20 minutes.
Wow.
Or hour and 20 minutes. But it's interesting stuff. And we've gone through now the TT trial, right? And we thought
Jordan?
TT Jordan was a killing machine. And then we went to the BMF and we'd heard about the Donald White, a lot of the killings that went on there. This one here got a guy by the name of Ronnie Thomas Bay in it. This dude was treacherous. And he
makes the
testified.
others look like punks.
Well, he testified
Oh wow.
on top of it.
Oh my God.
And but a quick funny story, but not funny, but they knew that he testified to the ones that he did for Jerry Lewis, as part of that organization. But they knew about a bunch more. So he also, they said, okay, as a prosecution team, they said, well, we're going to, divulge the other ones that he's done too, because he told them I did a lot more than that, So he tells them, so they go through as, the prosecution saying you did more murders too. And he testifies to all those murders. Well, then it's time for cross-examination. And the defense team brings up two other murders that he's like, oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh,
So this dude, yeah.
Serial killer.
yeah.
So yeah, and that's a great story. And then Mark's coming out on Monday, and the stories he told were great, weren't they, JJ?
Yes.
They were awesome. Danny sat that one out because, like you said, it's tough for three people to ask one person a question.
As Wendy said, the handsome guy, whatever, in the middle, he's going to get all kinds of fan accolades.
Yeah, he's going to
Right.
build our subscription.
They're going to want him back.
We'll make a
Well,
cat.
hey, I just want to say thank you for letting me talk about the foundation and Guns and Hoses, because both of them are life-saving to a lot of policemen in the metropolitan area,
And their families.
and they're very important. So if you do anything, support Guns and Hoses and the Police Foundation.
And the brighter side of blue, because we're getting the
Yes,
message
right.
out.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Actually,
Okay.
you know what we
We're
didn't
gonna get
have
these
is
young
our
officers.
coasters.
Oh, yeah.
Those
Oh.
coasters are tight.
They're coming. They're coming.
They're in
Yeah,
use.
you blame that one on me too, Danny.
Yeah, I will.
Hey, I'd like to say something about Phil the Thrill.
Yes.
And I think everybody at this table will attest to it. There's a certain spot in my heart for, like, as a young policeman, older guys who are established, who are nice to young coppers and take time to talk to you and say hi to you and also help you. And Phil was definitely one of those
100%
guys. He's
to me
one of those
too.
guys I liked the second I met him.
Yep.
And he was a guy you could always count on. And he's a guy, when he was a detective or a homicide guy, that you could go up to him and ask him, and he would always take time out of his day and help you out.
Mentor you. Yep.
Absolutely.
And I really appreciate that time that you and I went to lunch with your dad. Remember at the Hilltop?
Yeah.
When we were working together, it
Yeah.
was fun. It was just, guy just brightened up your day.
Yeah.
What a neat guy.
He's a legend. So
It always made you smile. Anytime you saw Phil, you just immediately smiled
Yeah.
because you didn't know what was going to happen, but you knew it'd be entertaining.
100%.
It was going to be nice.
Yes.
Tommy, what about our communities?
The communities that support law enforcement are a lot safer places to live. And Mark, thank you.
Thanks for coming to our live
Thank you,
show.
Mark.
Peace.
Thanks for having me.
Peace. We're out.
Thank you.
You can thank me for bringing Mark.
Yeah.